Hello and welcome. These are a couple images that were submitted by Parker, and I'm just going to go over a couple of things with these. Ultimately, this is what we're going to come up with, and this is the image I'm going to do most of the editing to. I just want to talk about, I'm not going to go over much with this one because you can apply pretty much the same because your exposure and everything is kind of the same environment here. Your edits were actually pretty good. One thing you need to work on is your composition. And basically, doesn't matter. You know, the editing is just kind of the final kiss at the end. A lot of what makes a great picture is the composition, and just kind of some thought that goes into when you're first taking it. I mean, you can take a picture with your phone and make it interesting if you've got your composition right. So that's one thing you'll want to work on. So I'm just going to go over a couple things here. One thing that I would suggest is when you're photographing children, when you get down on their level, like kind of squat down and try to go eye level with about where they're at. And I know it's going to be kind of hard for people that have like knee problems and things like that. It's going to be harder, but if you can, just get down a little bit. Really makes a huge difference. Also, having the ground as a backdrop here is just not interesting. So if you get down at her level, you'll make the ground plane kind of about here, maybe, and have the trees in the woods in the background. Now, I don't know, maybe there's some buildings or something over here you didn't want in there. You know, that's obviously reasons for that, but if you can, you know, get down at her level, that makes a big difference. Also, I'm going to pull up my rule of thirds here, and you can have this on any camera. You can go into your options. Should be there anywhere, as far as I know, and pull up this rule of thirds, and just make it a habit to use this. And basically, these four lines here, if you put your line of focus on those lines, or those crosshairs there, makes things a lot interesting. And I usually go for either this one or this one. It will depend. I mean, it depends on what you're shooting, really. Oh boy, I'm going off. Sorry about that. So anyway, here's kind of the way I'd shoot this one is I'll line her up with this line here, this crosshair. And the reason for this is the way her body's pointing in this direction. If I was to move it, oh boy, if I was to move it over to this side, wouldn't be as interesting. It'd feel wrong because now it looks like she's got her back to you. So just put it back over here. Also, another way is if they're not looking directly at you, like maybe if you're shooting, you've got the parents there, maybe have them stand kind of off to the side and have her look at mom or dad, and that way she'll be kind of looking in this direction or this direction, whichever direction she's looking. Put her on the opposite side of that. So if she's looking in this direction, put her right here. If she's looking in this direction over here, put her over here. That's just a nice little trick. Or another thing, if she's looking directly at you, this would also work centered, which is kind of what you were going for with this one. And if you just line her eyes up with that line, that'll kind of work there. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with this one. And I'll be doing, if you don't have Lightroom, that's okay. I'm going to be doing a lot of the editing in Photoshop. And anything I do in here, you can pretty much do in Camera Raw in Photoshop. Okay. With this one, same thing. Just watch out for your composition. Get down on her level would make this really interesting. I can tell that there's trees and woods back here, and you really need to take advantage of that. That makes the background makes things a lot, makes things pretty interesting here. We'll talk about these trees in the foreground here. I know what you were going for. Putting something in the foreground here, it always makes things a little bit more interesting. But having it kind of cuts off focus. It takes away the focus of your subject here, because if they're like more off on the side over here, that would have helped. Sorry if my voice sounds jittery. It's like 32 degrees in here, and I turned my heater off because it was super loud. So I'm gonna try to. I've got some warm coffee here. I'll try drinking that. Anyway, I tried cutting this tree out in Photoshop, but there's just not enough pixels to do that. There's way too much repeating patterns going on when I tried that. But anyway, so again, get down her level and try to keep any kind of distractions away from your subject here. And these trees are really distracting. We'll go ahead and crop this one a little bit to try to center her. Again, line up with her eyes. This one works pretty good centered because she's looking directly at you and her body's kind of pointed at you. So this one would really work pretty much either way. There, I can't move it. If I move it very far, you're going to start getting a lot of artifacts going on. And you could kind of go like that. Oh, I better reset that. Anyway, we're going to go for a center crop here. Okay, I think that's all I want to talk about with composition. I'm going to jump over to here and start editing some things. I'm going to make this a little bit warmer, maybe. Again, now, this is just how I would edit it. You could edit this a million different ways, and everybody has their own style or their own vision. And you can change the mood completely by your edit. Like, what if I want to make this colder? Okay. Now, you know, your mood is more like, oh, she's alone in the cold woods. And she's all alone and she's cold and she's shivering. Totally changes the mood. Or, make it warm. Now she's in the warm woods. And it just makes it warmer and more inviting, easier to look at. I'm going to go for the warmer look because of with children, unless you're going for some kind of weird, I don't know, psychotic thing where it's just cold and she's alone in the woods. I'm not going for that. I doubt that's what you were thinking when you took this picture. So anyway, I'm going to bring the contrast up just a hair and bring the blacks down a little bit, just to bring out some of that detail. Bring the vibrance up to about 20% or so. Ooh, that might be too much. 15. And we're getting a little bit of noise going on in there. So I'm going to use some noise reduction, set this to about 30% maybe. And I'll just kind of smooth things out a little bit. And I'm going to jump over here and use this brush tool. And I just have the exposure set to -1, shadow set to 30, and saturation set to 30. Don't ask me why, that's just something I go by a lot. And just paint that over the image, the entire image. And I'm going to take that off of her a little bit. I actually don't use Lightroom a whole lot, so I'm used to all the hotkeys and adjustments from Photoshop. We'll jump into Photoshop here in a little bit. I like Lightroom because of the painting tools. It just makes things really a lot easier. I'm actually gonna paint some of this off of the foreground maybe. I want to make the background a little bit darker, except for up through here, because here's your light source. You can see from the shadows and the lights coming off of her that the light is coming from up here. I'm going to use that to my advantage to try to make this scene a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to try darkening this a little bit more. I really want the background to kind of have this darker look to it. Take that off. I'm going to paint this off this tree here because this is in the foreground, not in the background. So I don't want this to have the effect that I have in the background. All right. And one thing I do a lot, it's going to be hard to, I actually don't know how to, here, can I change the feathering in here? Yeah. Trying to get close to this tree without there being any kind of haloing going on there. Might turn that down a little bit more. Okay, anyway. Wow. Oh, that's the size. What am I doing? No wonder that wasn't working. Okay. Let me put that back. Okay, one thing I do a lot is look over here at this the little preview over here, and it helps us it takes your focus off the little details and just look at the overall picture. So that kind of helps with that. I'm not going to use this as a vignette right now. I just want to darken the background a little bit to put the focus more on our subject here, and I'm going to do just a little bit more over here, probably. Just behind her. Try to keep it off the subject. I hate to call them subjects because they're people. This kind of bugs me always. This is a personal thing. It's not a subject. It's a little girl. Okay. Is that all? I think that's all I'm going to do in here. I'm going to go ahead and bring this into Photoshop. See if this is going to work. My computer doesn't always work like that. Looks like we're going to get to do it. Okay, now we're on Photoshop. Now I'm going to be using hotkeys a lot in Photoshop. Just makes my workflow a lot quicker, and hopefully if my recording program works, it'll show the keys that I'm using down here, and that'll help you out. So right here, there's a key. Hopefully that just popped up. I hit Option J if you're on a Mac to copy that layer. And I'm just going to go in here and actually, it's not much I want to do here at all. Her face is pretty much perfect. What I do want to work on is the eyes. Her eyes are really dark. So what do I want to do here? I'm going to create a new layer and fill it with 50% gray. And set that to overlay, the blending mode. And we're going to go in here, and you see how her eyes are almost completely black. I'm going to switch over to the brush tool, and I'm going to set the opacity to about 8 or 10%. And basically what I just did here is I created like a dodge and burn layer. And I'm just going to use black to darken and white to lighten. So I'm going to come in here and see how close I can get to before that starts happening. And just darken this dark part in her eyes. I'm just going to repaint some of the eye back in, some of the details in the eye here. I'm going to darken the edges of the eye here. Switch over to white and try to bring some of the reflections back in. Just paint the reflections back in. And I know it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but it really is. I'm gonna brighten the whole thing too. But here you can see what's going on now. Switch back over to black. And I'm just doing this with the mouse. I don't have a tablet or anything, which would probably make things a lot easier for me. Just can't afford one right now. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a curves layer and use this to brighten up her eyes a little bit. Invert the mask and bring my brush back in here and just set the opacity back to 100%. That's way too much right now. And just lower the opacity on it. It's way too much. I don't want to back out over here. You can tell our eyes are probably glowing almost. So let's just back the opacity down until it starts to look normal. Probably something like that. Alright. What else do I want to do here? I'm just going to be just kind of playing around, try to use things to make this interesting. I'm definitely going to take advantage of this light source. Try to make things. I'm thinking I'm going to go for like these beams of light coming out of the woods here, kind of thing. We'll try that. I don't know what the final result is. I showed it at the beginning. I didn't see that. I just jumped into the future, grabbed it, and pulled it back. Does that make sense? Okay, I know. One thing I want to do here. I'm going to make a new stamp layer. Oh boy, I just combined everything. Might as well. Okay. What am I doing here? Okay, with that new stamp layer, go into filter. Actually, yeah, go into filter. Go to other and grab high pass filter and set it to like 8 or something. 8 looks like it works pretty good in here. I'm gonna bring out some of the detail on some of these the focus points here, and so you can tell it's set the blending mode to overlay. And you can see how it's just sharpened everything. Well, I don't want to just sharpen everything. I want just the focus points. So let's put a mask on that and turn this into a brush. I'm going to invert the mask, use my brush tool, and I'm going to, okay, so this log is kind of a focus point. I'm going to probably sharpen her clothes a little bit. But with this log being kind of right there along the same focus plane as she is, I'm going to bring that out a little bit. Now keep this away from skin tones. I just went right over her hands. I'm going to go back and paint that out. Definitely stay away from her face because this high pass filter just does something really weird to skin tones. So if I'm going to go in here and bring this back, she just softens the that skin tone. I mean that high pass filter just like brings out all the nastiness of the skin tones. So anyway, the high pass filter is too much. I'm going to set it to like 50%. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm going to create a new layer, and with my brush tool selected, and I have my my hardness set all the way down. I'm going to just let's see here. Just dab. Big old light source right there. In fact, I might actually go a little bit far, a little bit more, a bit closer to her. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I'm gonna undo all that. I'm gonna turn this into slightly yellowish, just barely, because this is sunlight. There. That's pretty good. Okay, now put a, actually, okay, I just put a mask on there. I'm going to try something weird here. Just kind of drag this. Ooh, oh, what am I doing? Okay, drag this kind of on her a little bit. There we go, just like that. And we're gonna actually, let's try soft light. Whoa, that didn't work. Okay, let's try screen. There's a blending mode or lighten. Boy, none of these are working very well. Alright, well, we'll just leave it to normal because it doesn't even look like it's doing much. I'm just kind of experimenting and playing around with the different things that I use. So anyway, let's go in here with, select the mask, and we'll try to paint some of this off of her. Actually, I'm going to turn the hardness up quite a bit here. And it's okay if it's not perfect. I just want to take it off of her because this light is going to be kind of, oops, behind her almost, you know, or hitting her. right. Let's do this tree as well. Just take as much of this light off of here as we can. This is kind of where it gets tedious, painting stuff in and out. Whoa, totally missed the tree there. Okay. I was never good at painting as a kid. I never stayed within the lines. Okay. I'm not going to be perfect at this, but you can come back through and do it as good as you want. This is going to be turned way down anyway, so it's not going to be a huge deal. And turn it way, way down the opacity. Just bring it up just a little bit. Okay. Actually should have done that separate, that line in the main light source, because I wanted the main light source to be brighter, but it's okay. I'm going to do one more thing. Okay, I'm going to try something weird here. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to add gradient filter, or layer, and let's see here. Set it to noise. Wow. Set this to HSB and just kind of randomize it until you get something like that. Is that going to work? Let's try it. Set it to angle. And move it way up here. I'm just going to set that to... Actually, no, I'm not going to use set of blending mode. I'm going to, or am I? Let's go ahead and set it to screen. Okay, yeah. Whoops. Don't know why it's not letting me grab that. Well, let's see if we can move it. Okay, well, wow, that is really weird. I should be able to open that up and move it around. It's not letting me. Huh. Wow, I'm gonna have to remake that. Why won't it let me open that back up? Photoshop's being weird. Alright, well. Okay, let's just delete that and redo it. Sorry about that. I'm trying to line it up with where it needs to be there. It's kind of hard to guess when it's completely black like that. Let's see here. What did I do here? Noise. Okay, I'm just going to move this up to, I'll just bring it way up to something like up here, like that. That should work fairly well. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Go ahead and set the blending mode to screen. And let's add a levels layer. Just darken that a little bit. Here we go. Oh, this is starting to look good. I'm gonna do something kind of like that. Now, is this gonna let me open that? Okay, it is, because I want to change the angle a little bit. There we go. More of that light beaming down on her. Okay, and I can't, for some reason, when I try to use this mask, because I want to paint this on and off now, it just does something really weird. So one way to correct it is take these two that I just made and put them in a folder and put a mask on that. And now I can paint this off. And I'm just going to come up here, set the hardness back to 0, and I'm just going to just take away the beams, only the ones I want. I'm going to leave on there. So let's take these way off, and then just back here, take these kind of off a little bit. I want it mostly just kind of beaming down on her. I'm going to take some of these off a little bit here. And then something else to make this a little bit more believable. I'll paint it off of her, obviously. Oops. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to have to be really, try to draw a straight line here. Okay, let's just try to draw a straight line here. Not good with straight lines. Okay. I'm just going to paint this off the log here. Make sure to get all of it off of her. I'm going to brighten her face a little bit. Where's that? I'm just going to, I'm going to do that here in a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and paint out that tree while I'm thinking about it before I forget. Alright. I'm going to bring the hardness of this brush way up and try to get closer to this tree. Whoops. Maybe not. Actually, this tree's pretty out of focus. I kind of think it'll work about there where it's at. I just don't want it to look too obvious. You can spend a lot more time on that if you want. Okay, I'm gonna leave that for now. All right. Let me just turn the opacity of this whole thing down a little bit. Don't want it to be too overpowering. Okay. All right, close that out. And I'm going to go ahead and brighten her face a little bit with the curves layer. Invert the mask. And paint that back in just around her face a little bit. There we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add another curves layer, and this will be my kind of overall just vignette a little bit. Kind of like what that's looking like, kind of. Now I'm just going to take a brush, and I can either invert the mask and paint it on, or just paint it off. It's whatever you prefer. I'm going to just paint it off, probably, because I kind of like what this is doing here. Let's set the hardness back to 0. I'm going to come back probably with another curves layer and darken the overall image again. Because I think it's a little bit too bright. One thing, I don't know why, but I'm getting a strange, almost red kind of ish look in these dark areas. Probably because it's so bright, and I'm trying to make it look darker in there. So I'm still learning, just like you guys are, kind of what works and what doesn't. So I want this to be more dark. It just doesn't look very dark, does it? It's still got that bright, almost overexposed look. And I'm not really sure what's causing that. Yeah, it's way too much vignette. I'm going to back that down a little bit. When I'm doing this, I'm looking at the preview up here, not the overall image. So if I look at the overall image, I start looking at details. I look at the focus point. Okay, I kind of like that. I still think those beams of light are a little just too much. Just don't want it to be too much. All right, I'm going to paint off. I see a problem here. There we go. And of course, paint it back in the tree maybe. Might help a little bit. Whoops. Actually, do that kind of backwards. I'm just mumbling to myself now. It means I'm starting to run out of things to say and run out of things to do in this. You could edit forever, literally. I mean, this could have been done in 5 minutes, really, or not. It's just kind of whenever you feel like it's done. I have to force myself to tell myself when it's done, and I just, you know what? Maybe it might be okay where it's at. I think I'm just going to darken it just a hair, and bring this up a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to leave that at 0. Actually, I'm just going to delete that. I figured I even put that on there. All right. What else can I do here? Let's grab this sponge tool. Have it set to saturate. I'm going to maybe brighten her clothes a little bit. This is just basically all this does is brings the saturation up. And I don't ever really like messing with saturation, but oops. I've seen this tool used. Actually, I'm going to have to probably create a new stamp layer. I don't know if this is I don't even know if this is doing anything or not. It is. I don't know if I want to do this or not. We'll just try it out. I just don't like adding saturation. I just don't. Okay, I might not add it to her. Well, actually, I think I will. Because her clothes just look a little desaturated there. Let me bring that saturation up. I usually don't like messing with saturation at all because I feel like it just kind of damages color, like it's too much. But it's not too bad here. I was thinking about actually doing it to maybe these trees to bring out that green a little bit. There we go. That's kind of cool. Actually, I'm going to touch anything really kind of green. Here's this moss. Maybe I was thinking about this when I did this brush. I was actually thinking about this log here. Bring out some of the detail and color in that log. That's probably too much. I guess I can back it down a little bit, the whole thing. I don't use this brush very often, so I don't know if it's just constantly adding or if it's just one set when I hit it. Let's see if my settings flow. Well, I guess it just kind of gives it all at one time, so. All right, that you can just use that to kind of enhance your focus points. Usually, probably towards your focus points. I just kind of did it all over the place, but I'll back that down a little bit, maybe to 50%. There we go. Okay. I wish there's more. I feel like there's something else I need to do to this image. I just don't know what. I'm going to touch this actually over here. These trees are kind of interesting here. Let me bring that out a little bit. What would this look like if I did the same thing to these? In fact, some of these greenish areas over here, maybe bring that out a little bit. Now I'm just looking for things to kind of touch up. Anyway, I think we're going to have to leave it alone. Call this done for now. So anyway, Craig, I hope this was helpful to you. Like I said at the beginning, the editing is kind of the final touch. I mean, I did a lot to this thing. But the composition is really where it's at. You can make an interesting picture, like I said, with your phone, and you know, just the way, just being creative, your position, and your using the rule of thirds, and you know, things like that. Just be aware of what's in your background, your foreground. I don't know what lens you use. It looks like you got your aperture to something like 3.5 here, and that may be as low as your aperture goes. But I'm a sucker for bokeh, and so I always try to get as much depth of field and out of focus and bokeh as I possibly can. And one way, if you're using a zoom lens, well, I don't know if I want to suggest that or not, because it's probably handheld. I always shoot handheld, especially with kids, because they're always moving. But I was going to say one way you can get more depth of field is by zooming in, using if it's like an 18 to 55 and you're on a wider, if this is wide, you can zoom in a little bit and that'll give you some more, but then you'll also be jumping more up to like f5.6 or something. Anyway, I'm just kind of rattling on now. I'm trying to think of everything I could possibly think of to help you out. But anyway, I think you're off to a great start. This is a wonderful image. You did a good job. One thing for sure is when you're shooting kids, kind of get down their level. I can't tell you how much that'll help. You just don't want to look down on them. It doesn't ever turn out very good. So anyway, I hope this helped. You let me know, and if you guys have questions or comments, just leave in the comments below. Also, I have another video of one of my pieces, and there's a lot of compositing going on in there. I call it my advanced compositing video. It's 45 minutes long, and I'm giving that away for free, as well as my manual mode cheat sheet, and I'll put that in the link below. You get that for free when you sign up to my mailing list, so you can get that below. Also, just subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more videos or be notified as soon as they come out. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I hope this was useful for you guys. I hope you have a great day, rest of the day, whatever. I don't know what time it is for you guys. For me, it's 4:40. This is when I work before I go to work. So anyway, I'm going to stop rattling on and get out of here. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.